morning. Good morning, good morning. I got a notice that I went live today. I've never seen that before. Maybe it's something new on Facebook. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We're here on July the 30th, 2020. It's my nephew, Gable Hildebrand's birthday, and my good friend, Jennifer Pasiglio. It's her birthday. Happy birthday, you guys. And look who's on with us today. My sister from Colorado's on, my mama's on, Regina, my good friend right here in town's on, Angel, my good friend from Fort Gibson, and Debbie Nolan from Blanchard, and Tanya is watching, and Caroline. Good morning, you beautiful ladies. Good to see you guys. Okay. 2 Chronicles 26 and 28. I already heard from somebody this morning that the names are hard. Boy, they are, aren't they? Aren't the kind of names that we use today very often. But I'm just kind of wondering, we're reading about the kings, right? And we get to read about the ones who did evil in God's eyes and the ones who he did what was pleasing in the Lord's sight. And I'm wondering, just ask this question this morning. Why did God decide to have all of this written down for us? What is it that he wanted Sue Lynn to get out of it today? What is it he wanted Miss Pearl or Montana or Elizabeth or Tom to get out of this today? Why did he write this down for us today? Actually, I think that's probably what we should be asking every single day. I believe every single day he's got a message for us. So we know the world events. We know everything that's going on around us today. There's a lot. But then again, there's always a lot. And we get to read about Uzziah. Uzziah. See those names. See, Judy, it's not just you. Good morning, Jane. Hi, Linda from Louisiana. Charmaine, hi there. Good to see you guys. Serena's on with us. Eileen's on giving us hugs. Everybody's got their morning hugs from Eileen. Good to see you. And there's my mama. She's on. Love it when mom joins us. So we get to read about Uzziah, who become king at 16 years old. So we're reading about the kings. A couple of the things that I see is over and over and over again, we see how God helps us and to what degree he's willing to help us when we do what's right. We get to see that in the readings. And then we see what happens when things are easy. Verse 16 is a really good example of that. So that's 2 Chronicles 26:16. But when he had become powerful, he also became very proud. So we see what happens when things are hard and how God rescues us. And then we see what tends to happen to us when we have it easy. And we need to be on our guard in both situations. And as we see the good kings, they always seem to have a theme about them. And that is to rebuild the temple. Just as today we ought to be seeking to build this temple up. So back then it was a physical temple. And you see in all of the kings that wanted to please God, they had this innate desire to build up God's temple. Well, I believe that we have an innate. That means that we were born with this desire to build up this holy temple. And that's in a lot of different ways. We have to build up our mind. We have to have a strong heart. We have to have a place ready for the Holy Spirit to indwell. We have to constantly be renewing our mind. We should be taking care of our physical bodies. We should be watching what we eat and what we drink. To the degree of eating healthy, drinking healthy, or to the degree of not eating poisonous things or not drinking poisonous things. I mean, there's just so many varying degrees in everything I'm talking about, the building up of the temple. And then we're also getting to see divine order. God didn't ever want them to have a God. Remember, we always have to remember that it wasn't God's idea for them to have a God. Oh, listen to me, I said that wrong. It wasn't God's idea for them to have a king. He wanted to be their king. But he gave in to their hard hearts to allow them to have a king, and then he placed a divine order for that. And we can't get away from divine order, not even in today's society. Jesus didn't do away with divine order. He set divine order firmly in place for us. And then in Romans, it picks up the theme about authority, about divine order. And we're reading in Romans 13. And once again, I warned you guys before we ever got to the book of Romans, how I love the book of Romans. How Romans chapter 8 is one of my favorite chapters. Did I say that once or twice maybe? I said that Romans 8 is one of my favorites. Well, today I think Romans 13 is one of my favorites. So, I just want to start reading Romans 13 verse 1. Everyone must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. Well, is he just talking about, what is he talking about to you? What does that say to you? We're in an election year here in America, so oftentimes we read that a lot when it's time to elect a new president or a new governor or a new city mayor. But authority goes in a lot of different directions. I mean, the authority that a parent is supposed to have over their children. You know, we live in a society right now that from the moment a baby is born, it seems to be the common theme that, oh, we got our best friend now. We just get to be friends and it's anything goes, and oh, we can't tell them no because we'll break their spirit. No, there's supposed to be an authority in place. There's supposed to be an authority in place in our relationships, in our gatherings. There's a right way to do things. There's a wrong way to do things. Common courtesy is a portion of authority. Saying please and thank you is part of the divine order, using manners to honor that person. It can apply in so many different areas, but it can also bring us much, much peace when something doesn't go the way we think it should, to read that everyone must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from God, and those in position of authority have been placed there by God. So if they've been placed there by God, He's responsible for their actions. God is responsible. Okay, Lord, did you just hear what that politician just said? Well, he's yours. You placed him there. You take care of him. Instead of getting so caught up in everything there is to be caught up in. So anyone who rebels against authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and they will be punished. So the authorities in our land, in America, has placed speed limits along the highways to trying to keep us safe, because left to our own devices, we seem to just kill each other. For the authorities do not strike fear in people who are doing right, but in those who are doing wrong. Well, there's a lot here. Would you like to live without fear of the authorities? This is July the 30th of 2020, right? When there's this movement to do away with the police departments. I'm not saying that there's not some correction that can be done inside of our police departments, but I'm saying our police departments are filled full of people devoted and that are called to do what they're doing, because there's no other reason for them to do it. We don't pay them enough. I am in awe. I am in awe that anybody would want to be a policeman in the United States of America, and that alone deserves my respect. That alone. Are there corrupt policemen? You better believe there are. And they ought to be dealt swiftly and very, very quickly with. But there's also corrupt politicians, there's corrupt neighbors, there's corrupt preachers, there's corrupt Sunday school teachers, there's corrupt teachers, there's corrupt. We live in a fallen world. Wake up. Well, why are we surprised? And why do we let the actions of one person cause us to condemn the whole lot? We're not even using the sense that God's given us, and we're certainly not reading his book. I mean, how would life be different if we could just start a movement to get people back into the book? Do you understand, in the United States of America, our entire judicial system is based on biblical principles? As we go through and we read, we can literally see some of the laws spelled out in the words of this book that are still in place today. So anyone who rebels against authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and they will be punished. For the authorities do not strike fear in people who are doing right, but in those who are doing wrong. Would you like to live without fear of the authorities? Do what is right, and they will honor you. The authorities are God's servants sent for your good. But if you're doing wrong, of course you should be afraid, for they have the power to punish you. They are God's servants sent for the very purpose of punishing those who do what is wrong. They are God's servants. So you must submit to them, not only to avoid punishment, but also to keep a clear conscience. Ooh, I wrote in my column, when we disobey, things inside our temple are broken and destroyed. When we break the law, when we just decide that it's okay for me to speed, a little rebel starts growing on the inside of us. Pay your taxes too, for these same reasons. Yeah, the Bible will definitely get into our stuff, won't it? For government workers need to be paid. Wow, for the government workers need to be paid. What an amazing thought. They're serving God in what they do. Give to everyone what you owe them. Give to everyone what you owe them. Pay your debts. If you tell your mom and dad you want to borrow $20, pay back the $20. If you tell your neighbor that you want to borrow their shovel, give it back. If you get to a place where you have to borrow somebody's car, bring it back full of gas. I mean, it's the little things. It's the little things. And see, this is what ties it to the Old Testament reading today. It's the little things. They got so proud, they become so powerful that they become proud. Oh, not only do I get to borrow your shovel, I get to take your shovel from you. Not only am I so powerful and so good and so full of pride that, yeah, I have the right to borrow your car and I'll bring it back to you empty. Oh, yeah. Give to everyone what you owe them. Pay your taxes and government fees to those who collect them, and give respect and honor to those who are in authority. All you got to do is turn on the television and you're taught to do anything but give honor and respect to those in authority. Owe nothing to anyone. Now that'll step on a lot of people's toes. It doesn't say except for your mortgage. It doesn't say except for, it says owe nothing to anyone. It does say except for your obligations to love one another. That's the only exception. Except for your obligations to love one another. Are you struggling in your life right now? Do you have a struggle? We all do. Do you know the root of our struggles are selfishness? The root of our struggles is selfishness. I wake up some morning and I get up on the wrong side of the bed, and it's one of those mornings that I just feel like I want to slap somebody. It's because I'm making it all about me. and I don't really care about anybody else. I'm making it all about me. When I think that I just have to have that ice cream cone that I've got my mouth set on, I am indulging in a selfish, demonic thought process that is excluding the good for everybody else. What is your issue? What is it that you're struggling for? What is it that you want more than anything? Chances are none of it has to do with somebody else unless you're totally submitted and you've died to yourself and you've said, here I am, Lord, I'm yours today. Do with me what you want. Oh, you don't want me to be married? I'm yours. Oh, you don't want me to have children? I'm yours. Oh, you don't want me to drink alcohol? Oh, I'm yours. You don't want me to have that job? You don't want me to live there? See, we wake up every morning thinking we have rights. I have a right to work whatever job I want. I have a right to treat my husband any way I want. I have a right. What rights does a dead man have? We just read yesterday. It was in yesterday's reading that we're to be a living sacrifice. And so, dear brothers, Romans 12, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him. I mean, we spend more time thinking about how bad we want to eat a donut than we do wondering what God wants us to say, or what is he saying to us, or seeking him in any way. Seek ye first the kingdom, and all these things will be added unto us. All these things. We are so selfish that we get ourselves into such a tither, and we violate the authorities placed in heaven. And when we disobey, things inside of our temple are broken and destroyed. And the next thing you know, I got to have a pill so I can sleep at night. And the next thing you know, I got to have a pill because I'm so anxious. The next thing you know, I'm so fearful to go outside my doors that unless they medicate me, I can't function. Every answer to every problem you'll ever have is inside of here. But how much time are you spending here? You'll devote hours and hours and hours trying to find it every place else, but you won't spend any time with him. Every answer to every problem you can ever had is found right on the inside of you. Because see, this word is already on the inside of you because he lives inside of you. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word is God. The answers you have are in here when you get out of your flesh and you go to that spirit man and you say, Lord, renew my mind. Take these thoughts from me. Show me how to replace those thoughts with good thoughts, those things that are true, those things that are lovely. And he's going to tell you to do that through being grateful, through praising him, through serving him, to find somebody else to serve. What are you doing in your downtime? What are you spending your alone time doing? Write a letter to somebody. Pick up a pencil and paper and write to somebody. We have COVID going on. They're not going to let you get on the street corner and gather a great big crowd together and preach to them. Cook a meal for somebody. Cook some cookies and give them to a widow in your neighborhood or to a veteran. I watched a story yesterday. I don't even know where I was watching. I think it was last night's news. Local news, by the way. Of a 13-year-old boy that has made it his goal to mow 50 yards for widows, single moms, veterans. And he was having the time of his life. You know why? Because it wasn't about him. You got that temptation stirring inside of you? Find somebody to love on. Smile at somebody. If you think you don't have a ministry, put your mask on and go down to Walmart and tell everybody, have a blessed day. Be nice to people. Do you know there are people inside our stores that hasn't had anybody say a nice thing to them in weeks or months? We don't have to have this great big worldwide ministry to serve the Lord. Pick up your pencil and paper and write out 1,000 things you're grateful for. Have you ever done that? Have you ever written down 1,000 things you're grateful for? Didn't know I was going to go here this morning. Oh, nothing to anyone except for your obligation to love one another. If you love your neighbor, you will fulfill the requirements of God's love. Did you, let me just repeat that. If you love your neighbor, you will fulfill the requirements of God's law. Just go out and pick up the trash out of their yard that people throw out of their car windows. That's loving your neighbor. Trim their tree. Take out their trash. Weed eat their alley behind their house. Wash their car. No wonder we're on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications. We're too busy worshiping ourselves. We're too busy making ourselves an idol. Oh, this doesn't feel good, so this can't be right. So, oh no, if I go weed eat the neighbor's yard, I might sweat. Might take some effort. Owe nothing to anyone except for your obligation to love one another. If you love your neighbor, you will fulfill the requirements of God's law. For the commandments say, you must not commit adultery. You must not murder. You must not steal. You must not covet. These and other such commandments are summed up in this one commandment. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no wrong to others. So love fulfills the requirements of God's law. See, that's what Jesus did for us. He loved us so much that he laid his life down for us. And it's his love that fulfilled the requirements of God's law. This is all the more urgent for you know how late it is. Time is running out. Wake up, for our salvation is near. Is nearer now than when we first believed. The night is almost gone. The day of salvation will soon be here. So remove your dark deeds like dirty clothes and put on the shining armor of right living. Because we belong to the day, we must live decent lives for all to see. Do not participate in the darkness of wild parties and drunkenness, or in sexual promiscuity and immoral living, or in quarreling and jealousy. I mean, it sums it all up right there. I get people asking me all the time, is it okay for me to drink? It is written. It is written. There's very, very few people that can drink without getting drunk. Very, very few people. Sexual promiscuity. That's not singled out to any one certain group. That's all of us. Every one of us. Do not participate in the darkness of wild parties. No, it's not okay for you to go out and stand on the street corner and participate, even though you're not the one throwing the brick through the wall, through the window. Do not align yourself with darkness. Or in sexual promiscuity and immoral living, or in quarreling and jealousy. No, it's not okay to be jealous. Jealousy is self-centeredness. Instead, clothe yourself with the presence of the Lord Jesus Christ. As he is in this world, so are you. Walk in love. Walk in love. And love is not weak. And love is not a doormat. In fact, all of our power, the source of our power is love. When I'm walking in love, I will not allow you to mistreat me. not when I'm walking in love. And it's as much for your sake as it is for mine. See, it's not a selfish thing that I don't allow you to mistreat me. Because if I allow you to mistreat me, you're going to mistreat everybody around you. And don't let yourself think about ways to indulge in your evil desires. The renewing of our minds. It starts with what's in our heart. Hide your word in my heart, O Lord, so that I might not sin against you. See, I can't keep reading these words and keep thinking that what society is telling me is okay is okay. It's impossible. It's the reason why people stop reading. Because they want the evil desires of saying, oh, it's okay to do this. It's okay to participate in this. It's okay. So they just stop reading because you can't reconcile the two. This book is clear. This book will offend you if you're hell-bent on fulfilling the desires of your flesh. But if you're willing to present your body as a living sacrifice, if you're willing to lay down and die for Him, you'll give up all those desires. I'm learning to give up my desire for food right now. It's a big, big, big step for me to give up the spirit of gluttony, to want to eat because it tastes so good. Do you know how selfish that is of me? To shorten my lifespan for my grandbabies who might want to have grandma around a little bit longer. I practice what I preach to the extent that I'm able, and when I'm not able, I ask God to open up my heart and my mind to more correction from Him. Oh Lord, anything that is in me that is not of you, get it out of me, even if it kills me. Yeah. I wonder why God wrote it down for us today. Wonder why this was our reading today. Good question. By the way, it's Thankful Thursday. What are you thankful for? It's just a day of the week to help remind ourselves that we're supposed to be living a life of gratitude. I'm so thankful that God decided to write it down for me. I'm so grateful that He speaks to me and I can hear His voice. I'm so grateful that I have women that come in here on their own time, women and men come in here on their own time and participate live in this Bible study. I'm so grateful that I've got people that'll come on at 8:30 in the morning Central Time, which means it's an hour earlier their time or 2 hours earlier, or they're halfway around the world and they participate in this Bible study to be encouraged so that they can go out and make a difference in this world. Folks, I'm telling you, our world needs us. Our world needs you. Make a difference in your world today. And I'm grateful for all that you do.